Greetings, good morning. It's a Tuesday, which I don't usually film on Tuesdays, so this is a special treat because I don't have to work tonight. So I thought I'd continue the Turbo Turkey story today on Tuesday. So if you want to see part 8, it is already up on the channel. Click on that, watch it, enjoy yourself. I did actually remember that I forgot to talk about one thing from 2018, and that was the play that I did at the end of the year. That was not a Turbo Turkey play. It was a at Burien Actors Theater, working with Rochelle and Maggie again, who have directed me in several things. And Anna was in it. She was the lead role. And then my friend Tim Takeshi, and then Eileen. And this was a great play. It was very well written. And basically the premise was that this it was two Jewish people, basically. One who only basically speaks in Hebrew. And so we had like a thing on the screen which would translate it for people in the audience who didn't speak Hebrew. And so Anna had to learn a lot of like Hebrew and stuff, which was obviously a huge challenge as an actor, speaking another language and stuff. But by God, if she didn't pull it off. And Tim was obviously excellent too. They played leads off each other. I was the friend who worked for DHX, I guess is what we call it, which is basically a takeoff of DHL delivery service. I had this big red and yellow jacket and hat and stuff like that, and I got to use a Virginia accent, so that was pretty. That was my attempt right there. That wasn't very good, but in the play, it's really good. Got many compliments on it from my wife, who's actually from Virginia originally. So, but no, it was just a great play. Very, we as a cast really connected well. Of course, we all knew each other pretty well already, so that helps. But it was a lot of fun. We got a lot of compliments. I remember one of the people who was a regular at the theater basically just said that Anna is their own version of Meryl Streep, So it's like, that's a huge compliment. I also got a lot of compliments. One person said that they'd seen me in a lot of things, and this is one of the best things they'd see me do. So I was like, that was a really huge compliment. And just from being a Wings fan, if you ever watched Wings in the 90s, Rochelle's husband actually said it. My character reminded him a lot of Lowell Mather from that show. So I was like, yes. Everybody was really good, and we had really good crowds, and it's a really good play. Handle with Care. If you ever get a chance to see it sometime, if anybody else around does a play called Handle with Care, go see it. The writer is still actually, he's still writing plays to this day. He actually did a thing with them for, right now they don't have a space. They're building in their own space because they got screwed by the stupid Parks and Rec, who just have always wanted to take the space away from them because they're jerks. But they are doing a lot of shows over Zoom, and they did one over Zoom with with one of his other plays, and he actually got to talk to the playwright and stuff, and he watched the show over Zoom, which is one of the cool things about Zoom. But no, I didn't want to go too much on it because this is going to be going into 2019 and a little bit of 2020, although there's not much to talk about there. Hasn't it all been said? But because 2019 was a overall pretty good year for us. I just want to touch on that because Hand with Care was the last show I got to do at the old Burien space before eventually they have their own space, and hopefully I'll get to work there again. Because that's just, it's you find a theater sometimes that's just kind of like home, and that would be Burien Actors Theater for me. And I've worked at other theaters that were great too, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it's just one of those. They've been not only professionally but personally, they've been there for me. When sometimes things weren't so great. So, if you're ever in the area, even right now they're mainly on Zoom, but you can still check out Burien Actors Theater because they're still doing stuff over Zoom right now, and support them as they grow to have their own space, which they so richly deserve after putting up with the Parks and Rec for as long as they did. We just jacked them around and just... Anyway, I won't get too much into that stuff because it's not really my story. That's their story. But yeah, just want to touch on that. Hand with Care, an excellent play. Another great performance. from Anna, my wife, and my friend Tim and Eileen, who was just awesome to work with. Cool. Now we're going to jump into 2019. Now, when we last left off on Friday, I do sound a lot better. I'm basically almost over the cold. Sorry to get distracted. It's like that moment. It's like that momentary thing where occasionally you just feel a little bit of phlegm in your throat. No, totally gross and totally relevant to the video. But if my voice sounds better, I don't found as I don't found. I just don't found. I don't sound on what the hell that was. As bad as I did on Friday, I guess. At least I don't sound as bad as I did in that one video a couple weeks ago when my voice was like shot. So anyway, back to business. So like I said, we had a lot of new cast members, and the first thing that we were going to be doing was doing Improv Month in January. And I had this concept called Wild Card, which if you remember the previous year, 2018, we did it first as like, vote for this, what type of show you want to see, which is a good concept still. But then I started thinking about it. I'm like, I want to make this kind of a long form concept. So what I kind of did was sort of like, there's a game called Monkey Wrench. That's a short form game, and basically it is like two people start a scene, and then someone will come in and kind of like disrupt the scene. So I kind of wanted to take that concept but use it with long form, and then I had a bunch of like words or situation or characters that you would just pull a wild. Now we're gonna pull a wild card, and that person would enter the scene. And it wasn't completely fleshed out because that's the thing. It's right after the holidays. You only have a few weeks. That was the only downfall with the Improv Month, was that you're like, oh, I have no time. So it didn't go bad, but it's one of those things that I'm still kind of reworking it in terms of what I want to do with it in November this year. So I've got an idea of how to tweak it somewhat to make it even more long formy and less gimmicky, I guess. Which, I mean, nothing wrong with gimmicks. If it works, it works. But yeah, actually, I think just about all the new people were in that show that had joined. And so that was cool. Let's see. Then we did another concept that I had. Did I do that the previous year? No, I hadn't yet. That's right. The other concept that I wanted to try in February was called Fortress. And this was another thing that I took just to describe it to you improv nerds out there. Where's my 7-Up? There's my 7-Up. I have a 7-Up that I bought yesterday because my stomach was bothering me yesterday. So anyway, it's much better today. So anyway, the concept was basically like, there's a game called Foursquare, which is also a short form game. And basically what it is you have like, basically a row of 4 people, and they kind of rotate around, and you just kind of play scenes. So it's like, all right, here's a relationship for these 2 people, okay, and then there's these 2 people, and then basically you just keep rotating it back to check on each story. So what I did to make it more long for me was that we go around, at least once or twice with the Foursquare, and then, but what we would do is have the audience just kind of say, okay, which 2 scenes do you want to see continue, and which 2 you want to eliminate. And then what we do is, like, let's say, like, I wasn't in either of the other scenes that, got chosen, then me and the other person who may not be in those scenes can enter those scenes as new characters and kind of build into a long form story, and maybe those 2 things meet up. Now, the first year I did it, I only kept 1 scene, which I think it was Reese's mom had suggested that, I think it would be cooler to see like 2 scenes. I'm like, oh, so the next year that I did in 2020, which was the only show we got to do in 2020, we actually did tweak it to have 2 scenes continue. And sometimes you'll have 4 good scenes, you just want to see them all continue, but that's how the concept works. But we did that the first time, and I think it went pretty well, honestly. I was really pleased with it. I don't think we did a full show of it. I think we did do a couple of short form games just because it was a new concept. And when you're first starting out with long form, it's like one of the difficulties you'll find is that it's like, okay, so we have an hour show. How do we make this stretch out to an hour? And that takes practice, of course. You're getting used to changing the scene and doing wipes and callbacks and things like that. There's a lot, like I said, there's variations of how you can move things forward. But that was something that, we had to experiment with and all that. And I remember we went to a workshop that was there, And there was a great exercise that they did too, where they like say, okay, well, think of a word, okay, and what does that word make you think of? And then from that, tell a story about something that involves that word. And that's kind of how you build, you know. You can make an entire story right out of that. That's how you start a monologue off, or you start a thing, you know, whatever you want to do with it. Because there's, like I said, there's variations on long form styles and stuff, which that's one of my goals is just to try to keep trying different. You know, Fortress is a keeper. Wildcard has potential. We've done an Armando not too long ago too. That was fun too. But like, try different styles just to kind of see how we can get good at each one and see the challenges of each one. So also while we were doing that, we also did another superhero play. This one was Panoramic, who was introduced in Electric Man. And Alex came back to be the lead role, and me and Anna directed it. So the first couple shows we did mostly were like Diana directing, but we all each individually directed the Dark Meat ones in 2018. But we were, even when we were directing by ourselves, we sort of were still kind of co-directing each other's a lot of times. That's just kind of how we work, and it works pretty well. But this one was me and Anna were directing. Josh reprised his role of Dr. Nose and also got to have a alter ego-y character that I called Esteban, where he was like a handsome man who got rid of his nose. It was an interesting storyline. And Diana got to play his mother, who was the one who made him have his grown nose by experimenting on him and being a scientist. And we didn't get Noelle back to play Aubrey. She wasn't available, so we had to recast Aubrey, which I'll get to that story in a minute. Then we got a couple other actors in there. Excuse me. Let me clear this phlegm here real quick. Fantastic, guys. Just for you. Phlegm on camera. Anyway, let me pull a sip of that. It's a beautiful 11 o'clock summer solstice morning. There we go. Cleared it. All right. So, back to me. But yeah, rehearsals were going pretty well. We had some good auditions. We had a guy named Liam who auditioned for us. And he was only able to be there like the last half hour. But he said he'd make it worth our while, essentially. And he absolutely did. Because, you know, before, we had only had one other auditioner who had worked with us before, Adam King. And he had a pretty good read. But, like, Liam just came in and he was just so energetic. And he, like, had a great Irish accent that he could do. And just, like, it was just perfect. Like, sometimes someone just walks in and it's like, I don't need to see anybody else. You know, that's how it was with Greg for the narrator. It's just like, you got the part if you want it, you know. So, yeah, we cast him. We cast a guy named Anthony to play the Oriole, who was a character that was kind of like a veteran superhero who had been around and who had been through some stuff. So kind of trying to be sort of a guide to Panoramic, who was, you know, a very much a wannabe hero, didn't have any powers, and was just trying to save his city. And, you know, I'll fully admit, like, with Electric Man, I had a lot of, like, film noir influences, a little bit of Batman 89, a little bit of the humor of Batman 66. With Fiona, there was definitely a little bit of a Star Wars, a little bit of Wizard of Oz, you know. Well, the Panoramic is basically the Karate Kid. Because Panoramic just gets beaten down by the bullies a lot and has to have an older, more experienced superhero save him. So, yeah, and then we had a couple other guys that were great ensembles, Eric Franklin, and then we had a grandmother, which I kind of, little Spider-Man-y, went with kind of a grandmother Aunt May character. Grandma Evelyn, who I named after my maternal grandmother, who I never actually met, but it was my dad's mother, who sadly passed before I ever met her. But I thought, you know, a little dedication there. Let's see, who else was in there? I don't know. Oh, and then we had another character who, my friend Vera, who had worked with me on several plays of Virion. I really wanted her to play the mayor of the city, who was Aubrey's aunt. And luckily she was available, and we were able to, you know, use her, because she's a phenomenal actress who I'd worked with several times. And just a very nice person, too. Like, one of the sweetest women you'd ever want to work with. So that was very exciting. So we had ourselves a good cast of characters. and some ensembles as well. And of course, one thing I really love about the superhero thing, and a little bit with the Darking too, is I love coming up with soundtracks. And I know I talked about that before, but like, I would love to just like, sometimes I just go on YouTube and I find just the most random music I can find. Sometimes it's comical, sometimes it's just like, ooh, that'd be an awesome fight scene song. And Anna, has done a lot of was certified a long time ago as a fight choreographer, so she does a lot of our fight choreography. Anthony and Liam also had some martial arts experience and stuff like that, so they brought a little bit of that into the fight scenes as well. But yeah, what I like to do is fight music, but we had this one song. There's this rap song called Panoramic, and and Panoramic he's a goofy white guy. So hearing this thing of like panoramic, it was goofy, but I was like, we have to have that in there. And then I found this other song where it was all about a grandma or whatever, but it was very comical, so I threw that in there too. But it's fun to just kind of find those kind of things. So like, I love making a soundtrack because there's songs that are more comical or fit a character, and then there's songs that are just like, man, that just pumps me up, And you find a lot of good artists that way too, because you're just like, maybe not even well-known mainstream artists. You can find them a lot on YouTube or Spotify and things like that. So that's something that I definitely enjoy having fun. So we did have one issue specifically during Panoramic, and that was a casting situation, and it was by no fault of the person that we were casting. Alex had a friend from high school who auditioned for the role of Aubrey, and she was great. She was absolutely read well. The only downfall was she was equity. Now, for those of you who don't know about Seattle theater, there's not a lot of equity theaters here, unfortunately. And so, which isn't a big deal, but the problem is if you are equity, there's a lot of equity rules that you have to follow. And we're just like basically 4 people. We have a sketch and improv group, but we're writing plays as well. So we're producing theater, but we don't have our own space. We're not a lot of this is just coming out of the, labor of love. So, it was very stressful because we had several weeks where we literally could not have her at rehearsal because of the rules. Or there was certain limits of hours of rehearsal and things that she and she just wanted to make sure she didn't get in trouble, because I found out later that Greg was who did our narrating in Electroman was also equity, which we didn't know when he auditioned. Though it definitely showed for his talents. And he actually apparently got in trouble with them because of that. So I was like, that's why he wasn't able to work with us again, which is too bad because he was great. But so we had to so Anna had to go through all this stressful shit to deal with that. And it came to a certain point where it just came to a head where Anna filled out all this paperwork, spent all this time, and then mailed all this stuff out, and then they're like, oh, we didn't get it. And this was coming pretty close. We're talking I think maybe a week before we're getting ready to do tech, and we have not even had our love interest character essentially to even really rehearse with our main lead. And so she's just like, you know what, I feel like I'm holding you guys up. You have a great cast, and you guys are great people. Let me bow out so you guys can find somebody else. And luckily, we had another actress named Kylara who had auditioned, and she was pretty much our second choice. Anyway, so we ended up. I got in touch with her. Luckily, she was available, and she stepped in and just got the stuff down right away. Got the blocking down. Got the character down. Got it, just nailed it. So it was one of those kind of happy silver lining moments for us. If that was the only issue we had during that production, that would have been fine. Unfortunately, we had a few other issues. We had 2 ensemble actors who were both nice guys, but one was only available on Wednesdays, and one was only available on Saturdays during when we would have our rehearsal schedule. I think we rehearsed 3 times a week. So there'd be days where we wouldn't even have them, and then even the days that one guy was supposed to be on Saturdays, he has a medical condition, which I'm not going to get into what it is, but which sometimes just incapacitates him as it would. So that sometimes that would unfortunately be on a Saturday when we were supposed to work with him. So that was stressful. And then I remember during Tech Week, he got food poisoning, and it was just like crap. And like he missed like at least 2 days of tech, which is never good. Missing Tech Week is never good, even no matter what your part is. So that added some stress. And then I was going to run the sound because I was directing. I wasn't really. I was in the show briefly. Just at the beginning, I did a little bit part where Panoramic saves me, and then me and Anna popped up as Electroman and Fiona to connect that cinematic universe style. So anyway, we get there for Tech Week. I had contacted someone. I had 2 people interested, but I contacted someone to do the lights. And he said, great, cool, I'll come in, I'll check it out. He didn't come to any of the rehearsals, like he said he was going to, before the Tech. And so I'm like, all right, he's going to be there at Tech. And I had talked to him like 2-3 days before that. And he was like, all right, cool, I'll see you then, We get to Tech Day, he doesn't show up. I got no communication from him. I try to communicate, like, hey, something happened. No communication whatsoever. He just didn't show up. So now, we're at this light board at the Pocket. I had taken a lighting class, but I did not know enough. I mean, Anna knew a little bit, but not like enough. She had never run a light board, though, because she's such an amazing actress that she's mainly on stage. So anyway, in this course of an afternoon, Anna got to learn how to run their lights. Luckily, it was a much simpler board than a lot of your bigger theater boards, but still, in addition to having to direct, in addition to having to do the fight choreography, Anna had to do all this stuff. So she got to be a superstar for this thing. And like I said, then we're dealing with the fact that somebody has food poisoning. So anyway, as things went, though, the show did go good. I think we sold out at least one of the performances, or came pretty close. So we did make some money at least. And everybody did a good job. It was well received. I can remember this one time I was like playing music back there, and some person's like, could you turn that down a little bit? It's a little loud. And I'm just like, okay. Rude. But no, everybody in the cast was really great and got along pretty well. I remember Diana wasn't happy about that guy, the food poisoning. She's like, oh, well, he's never working on this count. I'm like, well, with his medical condition, food poisoning is probably a lot worse for him than it is for a lot of other people. And food poisoning is bad enough. I've had it once or twice myself, and it's, not fun. Not going to get into that story because there's nothing fun to talk about food poisoning. It's just like, that was awful. Anna one time had to like do a play and run off stage every couple of minutes. So that's a story for another day. But mine weren't even theater related. It was just I was at home both times that it happened. So just bad food. So it happens. But yeah, that's what I told her. So, it's just like, hey, these things happen. I wouldn't write the guy off. He's a nice guy. He's talented. He actually is a comic book artist too, which was, really cool. Yeah, so like I said, Panoramic was pretty good other than the stresses, but obviously after that, like, me and Anna were both just like, we need a break. Holy crap, do we need a mental break, because that was just, between everything, it was just like, during that time, also, we did March Laughness. Yeah, we did March Laughness. That was fun, again, as usual, with the new crew and stuff. And then we did Grab Bag in April, because I wanted to make sure we had a show that was just like, okay, nice come-down show. Just, we're good. We don't have to think too much. It's Grab Bag. Pull the game out. You're good. So, anyway, those were fine. And then I was also getting ready to we were getting ready to be part of Sketch Comedy Month again. And they had set a thing out of anyone who wanted to help plan the Sketch Comedy Month. And I thought, well, that'd be cool. So I got together and with Sarah and a couple other people, and we kind of planned out what we were going to do for that month. Just some fun little events that we could do. And we had a video one, which the one guy, I think he's connected with the Unexpected Productions and stuff. And I think he's got a YouTube channel too, which is really funny. So he did like a video thing. So I thought, oh, we got to do a video sketch. I'll get to that in a minute. And then I actually ran into a vet who had been in inspecting Carol with me way back God, when was that? 2011? Good God. So it had been a lot of years since I've seen her. So she was part of the planning board too. And my idea was to do like a little sketch comedy workshop where people would, how to create characters and, put them into sketches. And then my idea was that we'd do that and then they would have a performance later that night. And that was the plan and the idea. And I was very excited about it. I prepared stuff. I was ready. I had all my stuff ready. And I remember I got there that day. I've told this story, I think, when I was doing my stupid Sketchfest rant thing in 2020. But we're not going to do that right now. But no, I can remember I got there to the pocket, and Matt was there, because there was someone there to, be there. And I sat there for about an hour and a half, and no one showed up. And I was also meeting Kylara that day to go over the script with her, because this was before Panorama could open. But, man, talk about a crushing blow, because I'd done a few improv workshops, where I had just a couple people show up, but there were still some people to work with, so it was still fun and still worth my time. But it was just like, and you've probably seen it in the other video, but I was so depressed. I just felt like, I just feel like absolute shit now, because it's like, man, I was really excited about this. I spent all this time creating this stuff. I took the day off of work from the soccer thing to do this, and no one is here. And it was just like, and I remember I messaged Sarah and I said, I just feel like I didn't contribute at all. This was my big thing I was going to be a part of, and what did I contribute? And Sarah was very nice. They were just saying, I should have done more too. I think it's just a situation of people not wanting to really take shops or workshops or learning and just putting on shows, which is fair. I mean, that's fine. But it was defeating for me, because it's just like, I love doing improv. I love doing sketch. So, if I can teach things I've learned to help others, then hey, I'm all about trying to help people. That's just who I am. That's why I invite people into Turbo Turkey so much, because I just want people to work with and new friends to make too. So anyway, yeah, that was frustrating, but life goes on. I'm teaching improv classes now, so everything works out eventually. So that was good. Oh, that wasn't good. But the rest of Sketch Comedy May month was not too bad, though. There was some good positives there. We did their video. I did this kind of takeoff of Cobra Kai, but it was Turkey Kai, as I called it. And I played the John Kreese role, and Josh was supposed to be Johnny and stuff like that. But I made the mistake of doing too much. I made it too movie referential, and it was very thrown together, and the transfer looked really bad. Like our lips didn't look like they were moving. It looked like a bad kung fu movie when we did the thing. And I commented on the cow costume thing, and Josh claims he saw some people in the audience cringe when they heard that. I was like, I think they were friends of his or something. I'm like, okay, whatever. It's like the whole point. I didn't have to include, in hindsight. I probably wouldn't include that joke, but it's like the whole thing was, it was just laughable to me that we had lost to a guy doing pun jokes in a cow outfit. It wasn't anything against that guy. I didn't have a problem with him personally. It was just like, we lost to a guy in a cow costume. So I was playing a Kreese-like character who would be very angry. That was what I was going for. And, since I played off my own temper, tying that in. So yeah, it was a thrown together sketch. I fully admit it wasn't as rehearsed as it should have been. We didn't have a good plan, and we had people missing from the filming. Unfortunately, like I said, this girl Amanda, who was very talented, but I think she lived in Tacoma, so it's a decent drive to Seattle. And I think I had this idea of having guest sets where you didn't have to be there all the time. You could just hey, I want to do this show and da-da-da. And in theory, that could have worked out, but I think she had marked that, and I think I tried to use her too much. And she ended up just kind of flaking out, and that happens sometimes. And ended up, I never actually got an actual official email of her leaving. She just stopped showing up. So I was like, well, I guess you're not in the show. And then Saban, who's a really great guy and very talented, he had a situation at home with his kid and stuff like that, which was, scary for him and stuff like that, which made him a little more he just wasn't able to be there. And he was very, very professional about it. He came by and apologized to everybody and said he didn't feel like he was giving us the respect that we deserve by being able to be available and stuff like that. And it was all good. There was no heat or nothing. I thought he was very talented. He had done this show in January with another friend of his, and he's African American, and he was it was just kind of telling some perspective from their story, and it was, and me and Anna came and saw it. It was a really great show, and he asked for feedback and stuff, so we gave some good feedback to him and stuff. And so I wish him nothing but the best. He's a really nice guy, very funny. I hope he's still doing well and stuff. I haven't talked to him in a while, but yeah, a really good guy. I no regrets. And Amanda was a very nice person. It was just like, I'm not hearing from you. Are you still here? The rest of the people stuck around. Zoe stuck around, and Josie and Reese and all that stuff. Now, the good thing was, when we got to May, we did actually get to do the Sketch Comedy Month performance and stuff. And we did 2 nights, and both nights we got 45 minutes. Now, unlike those people I talked about in 2018, we didn't spend 45 minutes doing one sketch and sing I Need a Mommy. Anyway, no offense to those guys, like I said. This wasn't my bag. So the first night wasn't too bad. We worked with another group who I don't recall, but it wasn't too bad, but I should have had some music cues or light cues in there, and I didn't use those, so we kind of the transitions were way too rushed. But we had some people come, and they seemed to enjoy the show okay. And then the next night, we worked with Yvette's group, which is Stronger Than Love, and both groups just hit it off so well. Like, their stuff was really funny, and then they were just rolling with the stuff that we were putting out. It was probably one of our, best sketch shows to that date that we had done, and so it was super fun. It was a super fun night. We ended up it was the first time, and this is not a knock on anybody else that we've worked with at Sketch Comedy Month or Improv Month, but it was the first time that we worked with another group, and they actually were like, we would like to work with you again, and we actually exchanged emails and all that stuff. It's like, so that was a nice thing, a bonus out of that thing, because there's so many times I tried doing the split shows way back at 2015, and those didn't really click, and that was just bad planning, but so that didn't really work. But it just feel like, and I'm not going on a whole thing about the sketch comedy community or improv community, but it did feel like sometimes we do shows with people, and we try to be hey, how's it going, introduce ourselves and be supportive, and I'm not saying you laughed at everything they did, but you'd laugh at stuff that was funny. And it just felt like when we would go up, a lot of times, you barely heard anything from them. They barely said good show to you. It just and it kind of goes back to the thing with the workshop too, that sometimes I think there are people, and this is not I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, I don't have somewhat of an ego. I have a little bit of an ego. I think it's okay. If you have a healthy ego, I think that's okay. Being confident in your talents is okay, as long as it's not a toxic ego where you're just treating people badly, because I think it's more just being respectful to everybody you work with, no matter who they are. Just be personally respectful. You don't have to be best friends with them. You don't have to laugh at everything they do. I'm not, comedy is subjective, and comedy is about trying to make people laugh. And you know what? Sometimes it takes a little bit for someone to get a joke. Sometimes the joke doesn't hit till the end. Whatever the case, or it's just not their sense of humor. That's okay. So I don't want to make it seem like, well, they have to laugh at us, because when I first started, it's like, why are they laughing? It's something you have to learn. And I've learned from doing stand up and improv, all that stuff. Sometimes you just be like, okay, well, maybe this sketch isn't ready yet, or whatever the case. But just, it was kind of refreshing that they were really laughing at our stuff. We were laughing at their stuff, and we made a connection, and that was cool. So it was super nice. The only downfall I can say about this is, unfortunately, the people who usually were there at the Pocket to do the recording were not there that weekend, and so our wonderful performance did not get recorded, and so we didn't have anything really good to submit for Sketchfest. The submissions usually go in June, so that was oh crap, and Matt was very apologetic. He felt really bad about it, and yeah, you know what, stuff happens, man, because he was out of town and Sarah was out of town, so it was just one of those things, but hey, we lived it. It was a great show. It was a nice positive experience. yeah, so that was cool. Let's see, what did we do after that? I think, let me look at my calendar here real quick. We did that. Let me scroll down a little bit. Make sure I don't forget anything here, Adam. And March left. Yes, there was that. Grab bag. Panoramic. What did we do in June? That was July. Okay. Oh, we did wild card. Okay. Did we do wild card? No. Yes. Oh, right. That's right. We did that in July too. Improv classes. That didn't happen. Grab bag. That's a pocket. Where is it? Okay. Well, that's weird. Why wouldn't I have had that up there? That's. Whoa. Where are the event pages, Adam? What the hell? Anyway, sorry. Got distracted there for a minute. Anyway, yeah, we did do a wild card in June. And that's when I kind of was like, okay, we did it. And then we had more wild cards, and it just kind of made a jumbled show, I think. It wasn't anybody's fault. It wasn't anything wrong with it. But there wasn't a lot of preparation, a lot of rehearsal time. So that's all that was. Then we also got to do a show at the Pocket in June. We did the Grab Bag show for the first time there. It wasn't a huge turnout, but the people who were there had a great time. And Sarah actually ran the tech. I think Sarah and Matt both ran the tech for us, so we could have sound cues and light, So it was a super fun show. It wasn't a huge crowd, but it was a fun show, and even they were laughing back there and having a good time. So that was cool. It was a cool experience. And then July was super cool because I did a new concept called Sketch Off. And the idea behind Sketch Off was very much like Martial Laughness, is we're going to split into teams, but we're going to write sketches. And the concept I took was from the thing we did a couple years ago as part of Sketch Comedy Month, which was they'd give you a word to write about, and everybody would be writing about the same word. And then the audience, it was kind of a fundraiser thing, so then the audience would vote for what one they thought best amplified, or whatever the case, the sketch. Or the word, whatever it was. So I thought, okay, well, there's a decent amount of us, so why don't we go ahead, we'll split into teams, we'll pick 5 words, and then that means we'll basically have, depending on how many people are on each team, we'll have each person write a sketch on whatever word gets chosen. And I think we did a drawing of each word and each person, but anyway, so it ended up being me and Anna and Reese and Zoe on a team. And Jag was going to join us, but there was a miscommunication. He wasn't able to join us. And then the other team, we had Josh, Diana, Josie, Alex, and James had popped back up. He had been kind of in and out for doing plays and stuff. And so me and Josh ended up writing. James joined late, so he didn't write a sketch, but I ended up writing 2 sketches, and Josh wrote 2 sketches. We were kind of, quote-unquote, the team captains, although I don't think it was necessarily team captain as in I'm in charge of this. It's more just kind of just we pick the teams, I think is what happened. But anyway, we're gonna do that again in a few weeks on July 24th. So that's cool. Subtle plug there, Haig. Anyway, back to me. So what was really cool is that my friend Donovan and Brett had come in town. They had come to my wedding, and they were my roommates from back when I did sketch comedy in Indiana. We went to college together, and we're just really good friends and stuff. And so they came back out because we had climbed one mountain for after my wedding. And so the intention was, well, we're going to climb another mountain. Yeah. Because me and Brett and Donovan had climbed Little Si. So we went to North Bend to climb Mount Si. And a couple of his band members came with him as well. Because Donovan is a soul singer in Austin, Texas. And, does pretty well for himself. And so anyway, it was super cool because, this is the first time they'd seen a Turbo Turkey show, and gotten to see me leading the pack, so to speak. And I even brought some characters back that they would know, Doug Farnsworth and Spencer Wiggins. I brought them back in. So I'll fully admit that some of the stuff I wrote in my sketches was, specifically that they would laugh at. Not gonna lie. Not that they were ringers or anything like that, but they were. They were. But no, it was cool though. We did have a good time climbing the mountain. It was very tiring, but it was fun. And we had a really good jam-packed crowd. I think we had at least 25 people there that night. And the idea was that the audience would vote who they liked, which sketch of the two words, each word that they liked the most. And then I also had like favorite sketch of the night as well. So the words we had were sports, animals, wire, crafts, and food. Now I wrote animals and sports. My sketch was splicing animals, which had Spencer and introduced the world to Easel, who, if you know, on Adam and Anna's channel, has become kind of a character for Anna. And then Zoe wrote the food one. The sports one was called Obscure Sports, and I used Doug Farnsworth with that. And I just found a bunch of, I can't talk, obscure sports from around the world. Just really ridiculous thing like cheese rolling and what was it? Extreme ironing. And then my favorite, the shin kicking championship, which Anna played an Irish lass who shin kicks everybody. Ridiculous stuff, but fun. And then Reese wrote one, which was crafts, which was a very arts thing, and I played, oh God, what's his name? He's a political speaker. I'm blanking on his name. Anyway, I came and played that, and that was funny. And then Zoe had one about foods, and it was keep asking random objects were gluten-free. It was pretty funny. And then, and I believe Josh also wrote one for, and Anna's was wire, and hers, was just someone having their mouth wired shut. It was simple but effective. And then Diana did one for wire. Josh did sports and animals as well. Alex did food, and Josie did crafts. I think. Now, from what I watched, the cool thing about it was also that they rehearsed separately. We rehearsed separately, so we'd still be in the same location, but one would be outside, one would be inside. So none of us saw each other's sketches until that night, which is actually really cool because usually we read them all together and you just, oh, that was funny, and you see it a couple times and you're like, okay, that's still funny, but at the same time, that first time seeing something and it's funny as hell is a super cool feeling, which I will look forward to again when we do it in July. And like I said, the show went really well, other than a few transitions that probably would have been helpful when they were voting. But overall, it went really well. And Donovan and Brett were having a good time. His bandmates were having a good time. And our team actually, I think we won. We were voted for 4 out of 5. Anna's sketch got beat by Diana's sketch in this one. But they run a real beating. There's no trophies or nothing like that. It's just more of a challenge for ourselves. And we did do a sort of a firing line of elimination type thing of if you lost, we fire you, and then you'd make a ridiculous death. Sort of our musical chairs of death callback, but without the musical chairs. I'm not going to do that this year just because I do want it not to be competitive so much, more just it's more like fake, comedy sports would do, fake competition with sketches. It's not about we're the best writers ever. But, so that's always my intention anyway. I hope that plays off that way. Anyway, so it was cool though, because it's one thing for Donovan and Brett to laugh about, but I had just met his bandmates that day or the day before, hung out with them a little bit, but his bandmates absolutely loved the Doug Farnsworth character, absolutely loved the Spencer. He said they had to choose between those two sketches of which his favorite was. So we won favorite sketch too, and that's cool. It wasn't we won, but we voted, so it was fun. It was just a fun show, and I'm glad we're doing the concept again this year because I think it's a fun challenge for ourselves. Because, sometimes, usually with our sketches, it's just just start writing a sketch. Cool, you got an idea? Cool. But to have a word that specifically you have to, okay, how do I make this work? So, yeah, it'll be fun to do again this year. Let's see, what else was going on in the world of craziness? Let's see, we were in July. Yeah, July. We did that. That was July. August. What did we do in August, Adam? We didn't do a show. That's for goddamn sure. Did we do something in August? I feel like we did something in August. What did we do? Let me see. Sketch off. Sketch comedy. Grab bag. Okay, it's later on. Let me check out when it was. I want to say we did it wasn't a show. Something we did in August. Probably something we did. Maybe it was. No, it was October. Okay, never mind. We didn't do a damn thing in August. Actually, we did do something in August. We did auditions for the Safeguard Society. And there were some trials and tribulations with that too, which I'll talk about in a minute. And what happened was the idea was to bring these characters that we'd introduced in Electric Man, Fiona, and Panoramic, and also from the reading, and bring them together into a big Avengers-style hero team-up. And we had reworked the script some from when we did it as a reading. And so we beefed up the script some. Oh, I'm sorry, Anna. Am I disturbing you with my words? Yeah, close that door. Anna shut the door on me, so I guess she doesn't want to hear my words. Anyway. What's that, Lovey?
I said I'm giving you a little privacy.
Oh, okay. She's giving me a little privacy. Privacy with my audience. Anyway, the auditions, yes. So, we had a couple people come back from Electric Man. Aaron came back to reprise Neuromistress. Obviously, Josh and Anna were back to reprise their roles. We had Josie be the narrator. We had Simone be Dark Clover. And then we had Tim Takeshi playing Propel. And then we ended up getting Anthony. Charles wasn't able to come back. So Anthony, who had done our Oriole, ended up being Amplifier. And he nailed it, obviously. And then we ended up auditioning a couple more people at a later time, like after we went on vacation, because me and Anna went out of town to see my parents and stuff. So we had to fill in, and we had James playing the snail, which was super cool. We got a guy named Adrian to play Mr. Gloom. I had Reese play Rubber Band Man this time, because Umberto wasn't able to come back. And Reese Myers, who had done Fiona with us. And then a girl named Rebecca was playing Bleak this time, because Helen had moved to, before our wedding, Helen had moved to Alaska, unfortunately, so she wasn't able to be in the role. So anyway, a couple things before we get into the show itself, the rehearsal process. I will say the rehearsal process wasn't as stressful. There were moments, as always with any theater thing, but getting things laid into motion were. So, day before auditions, and I never really told this, I didn't want to tell it right away, because the last thing I wanted to do was, hey, you guys just committed to a show, and this is happening. We had planned to do the show at the Ballard Underground originally. We had talked to someone, and they were very excited. We were going to do a 50-50 split, like we did at Eclectic. It was a good, decent-sized space. We had a lot of people on the show, so it's like, okay, we need, we need some space to move around in. So, anyway, we get an email a couple of days before, I think, and Diana had responded to it, I think, as well. And it was basically along the lines of, well, you're going to have to pay like thousands of dollars for this tech thing. And it's just like, whoa, this is not what we talked about. It wasn't the person we talked to either. And this was Copious Love Productions had taken over the About Underground when Ghostlight Theatricals closed shop. And like I said, they had a great layout in there. We went and saw our friend Jennifer Parker's show, the Totally Solid Gold show there, and it was a great layout. And they seemed like very nice people, but it did seem like the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing sometimes. So anyway, the day before our auditions, I get an email back from this lady saying, well, we've decided that we're going to cancel your booking. We don't think this is the right, like that. Right. It was just like, whoa, what the heck happened? We went from, here's money that we need, to, well, we can't really afford it. Well, we had talked about this with somebody else, to now we're just going to cancel your booking. So at this point, I'm just like, okay, crap. So first I'm like, oh, please, this is where the space we want to work at. And we don't really have a lot of options here. We're auditioning people tomorrow. And they didn't get back to us right away. So, in the emergency, I'm like, okay, I'm going to reach out to the pocket. I'm just going to tell them the situation, see what they got available. And luckily Sarah was great. In a crunch, we booked it for, was it October or November? It was November. That's right. We booked it for November. We got 3 dates. We had a Thursday, a Saturday, and a Sunday. So in a pinch, the pocket came through. So bless them. And it was like, I think a week or two later or something. It was like a little bit late in the rehearsal spots, just where like they came back and says, okay, well, here's the money that you owe us for the tech week. I'm like, we're not working with you. You guys canceled our booking. So it's like, so it felt like there was like the people who were in leadership were changing by the week or something. And I said, I'm sure they're nice people. I don't know them personally, but it was just it just felt like, they were like us, like they didn't have a space that they had to run, and now they had to run a space. So I think it was like there was more responsibilities. Hey, and that's fine. It's nothing wrong with taking a chance, but it's just like when one person tells me we're doing a 50-50 split, and the next person's telling me we're owing thousands of hours. Some miscommunication's happening there, and that's not a knock on them. I'm sure they're lovely people. It was just not the right fit, so it is what it is. The only unfortunate thing is that as we're going through the auditions, I thought Diana was printing out the scripts. Like, I legitimately thought she was. So we get to the auditions, we're waiting, and then Diana's on her way there, and apparently they get a flat tire, but she kept driving it and like trying to rush to get there, and Josh was like trying to tell her it's not safe. So they had to like park the car near a parking lot finally. And she's like, I don't have the scripts. Why do I have to do everything? And she's like flipping out. But I just thought it was normal Diana, occasionally loses her temper like me. It's fair. She gets stressed. It's all good. But it was clear by the time she got there that I was afraid at the time that it was a slip from prior situations. And I'm like, oh God, not this again. Not in her auditions. Luckily, there were a lot of people who knew her, so it wasn't like too big. But what actually did end up happening, was that she was on a medication for. She was dealing with a health situation herself, and the medication they reacted bad to her, so it made it look like she was in that kind of state, but she truly wasn't. But it was very big, and it was a very big scene in the hallway, and it wasn't by no fault of her own, because hey, sometimes you can't control what drugs and stuff is going to do to you, especially with prescribed drugs these days. But so that was embarrassing. It was hard to deal with that, but we did get her. Alex was nice enough to stay, and they did get her home and all that stuff. And she apologized and everything like that. And it was like, hey, you know what? Situations happen. She said, I'm ashamed that you thought it was drinking, because she had worked really hard to get past all that. And so, water under the bridge. Stuff happens. Everybody was just happy she was okay. That's all that matters. But it was just like a double whammy of, oh God, we got our booking canceled, and then we get this, and then, So anyway, after that, things smoothed out a little bit. We had a cast of 17 with ensemble people and stuff like that, who were all great to work with as well. Adam King came back too to work with this ensemble. We gave him a role of Thunderheart, and so the show, like I said, the rehearsals went really good, and like I said, the cast I think bonded pretty well together. In between then, we were out of town. Me and Anna were out of town in September, so I don't think we were a part of. Did we do? Oh, we did do an October show. Yeah, we did do it. That's right, because that's correct, Adam. We did do an October. I don't think we did a September show though. I don't think we did. I don't see one here. Like I see the other one. Yeah, Halloween Hilarity. Okay, so we must have taken September off, or it might have been that we were out of town and we didn't. They did a show without us. I think that's what it was. So regardless, doesn't matter. I wasn't there, so I'm not going to talk about that show. But anyway, before I got to Safeguard Society, though, we did do Halloween Hilarity, and we did it as a split show with Stronger Than Love, who came out. One of their members had moved to Philadelphia, but they had actually gotten an actor who was in one of the Friday the 13th movies to work with them, which was super friggin' cool. And they had some great sketches. We had some good sketches. We had a great time. So that was a really fun show as well. So, we really were rocking, even though, as we've learned now, having more time to work on sketch shows makes them even better. Still, even in a crunch, we came up with a great show in May. We had a great show at Sketch Off, and we had a great show in Halloween. So that's always great when sketch shows go great and the audience is engaged and enjoying it. All good. Safeguard Society, we ended up selling out 2 performances. Thursday it's a Thursday night, so we did well, but like Saturday and Sunday both sold out. Boom. So we did really well. with Safeguard Society, and there was only one night that didn't go so well, not performance wise, but me and Diana had a blow up, and it was a stupid blow up. I was worried that the show hadn't been timed, and I had to work that night, and I'd had to call out of work because things were going so long in tech, and I wasn't feeling good anyway. That's why I really called out. It wasn't because I was that, but I was just like, we needed the time to get through it, and I was afraid. Apparently it had been timed, but it was a miscommunication, and she was doing this thing with this thing, and I just kind of like snapped and said, "We need to fucking move it," and it was not a good showing. I apologize to everybody and stuff. It's something I work on. But me and Diana both. That's why we get along, because we both of us have a temper. We both get like agitated about little things that we shouldn't. So it is what it is. I apologize. All water under the bridge. The performances went great. Like I said, a lot of good complimentary things from everybody. Yeah, there was. I do have to bring up one thing that happened though that was kind of upsetting to me personally. I understood it, but it was also just like, here we go again. Um, Now we had cast Reese Myers in the role, and Reese had before Safeguard Society had is trans, and had opened up about this to us, and said that's totally fine, uh, and identifies with she her, but super super talented regardless. And I knew from the reading, like, we had this scene that I wrote, which was sort of a first time seeing each other after Electric Man, and it was a great dramatic scene between us. Like, it was just like one of those times when you're acting with someone, and you got the eye contact, and you got the like, really freaking good. Like, and right, don't get me wrong, like, it would have been great with Michael too, if he was around. So I don't want to take anything away from Michael there. It definitely would have played well then too. But it was just like, I knew with that connection, like, boom, this is great. And Reese knocked it out of the park, and she did a great freaking job in this role. And I just remember, like, Kevin and Rusty at the last performance, just kind of like really being standoffish, not really saying much, not really saying. And it wasn't until like about a week later where they're just like, "Oh, Reese is too skinny to be the rubber band, man," and I just did it, and just like, and it's just like, it's just made the thing of like, you know what, this is just any further stuff with Electric Man characters. Like, I have a way to just like write that character out, because it's clear to me that they are never going to be at peace with it, and that's fine. That's their prerogative. Michael played that role and he did it great, and I understand that. But it made it awkward for Umberto, and now you're making it awkward for Reese. And they're both talented people. It's just like, I get it, but it's also, like I said before, it's like it'd be like Michelle Williams going up to Joaquin Phoenix or Jared Leto and saying, "How dare you?" Basically, and it's like, it's you know, at the end of the day, it is a character that I created, and I understand their attachment to it. I understand Michael's attachment to it. Michael did a great job of it. Michael was connected to the role. But he also wasn't even the first one to play it. Donovan played it a long time ago. So it's like, it was a character that I created. So at the end of the day, it's my character, what to do with it, and who to put in the role. But I can tell that it's just one of those things that, like, I have a sequel script idea that will basically end the character, as a way to put closure on that character so that we can move on from it. And then we have Reese be someone else, because they're very talented and they deserve that respect. So that was the only real kind of like awkward, like, oh, Jesus, again. And like I said, I've said before with grief and all that, I'm never going to tell someone, especially someone who had to bury their son or, cremate their son in this case. But like, I'm never going to tell someone how they should feel or how they're going to feel or how long can. Look, I lost friends too. He was my friend. I have a friend, Ryan, who passed away, who was, a great guy. I've lost family members. My aunt passed away this year. Very hard. And you cope with it. You never really get over it. But like anything else, you cope with it, and you just keep trying to Look at the positive. And there's going to be hard days. There's going to be when birthdays come around, when Christmas comes around, when the anniversary of things come around. Yeah, it's going to be hard. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you have to make it awkward for somebody else who's playing a role. And that's I'm not knocking them for it. And it was my fault. It's my mistake. I should have written the character out a long time ago. I should have retired the character. And the thing is, knowing Michael, he would not have wanted to do that. And I'm not going to be like, oh, you're speaking for someone. But knowing Michael, he literally said many times, oh, if we ever film this, I'll step out of the role and get somebody better. He was humble about those things, So it's like, I don't think he would have wanted them, like, not necessarily, I want to say hijacking the role, but like making someone feel awkward about playing the role. That's just I just wanted to say that real quick on the subject of that. We also did a 10 years of turkey thing because we had been around for 10 years. Super cool. Not a lot of people came. Norm did come and a couple other people, but we didn't make a lot of money from the fundraiser, but it was fun. We did like a little fake award scenes, a little award thing. We gave each other awards and stuff. And I had a Michael Tangento award, which I gave to Rusty and Kevin, as well as Diana, Josh, and Anna for supporting me and all that stuff. And then Draco was there, did some stand-up, and I said Norm and Jim, I think, came as well, so that was cool. Would like to have had a bit more alumni there, would have been fun, but, people's schedules and stuff. It is what it is. Yeah, so, yeah, that was fun. Anything else, Adam? Anything else? Oh, we also did like little, what a lot of times Burien would do is if they kick off their season, they'd have a scene from their upcoming season. And so we had one scene from Josh's play that he wrote that we still haven't done yet because, pandemic happened. And then I had a scene from a Dark Meat one that I was working on. I had a scene from Kazar, which I was working on. I think that was it for that one. Yeah, we just did like 3 plays. That's what I was aiming for. It's an hour already. We're almost there, guys. We're almost there. And so, yeah, so that was fun. And as I said, Semi-pro-Society was great. I really enjoyed working with everybody on it. And like I said, already started working on scripts for Amplifier and Dark Clover and Propel for them to have their own solo adventures. Eventually do Semi-pro-Society too. All up here. Plus other non-superhero plays. Because I've been trying to work on doing that too. Because as much as I love doing superhero plays, I don't want to just be pigeonholed into that. I'm an artist. Anyway, that was something. Then we did our Holiday Extravaganza show. We had a couple new people join. George joined, and then 2 other girls, Zoe and another Zoe. We had 2 Zoes for a little bit, like a rehearsal or 2. Then she bailed. Which is, shit happens. And then Christina, who stayed for just a little bit. As we got into 2020, the only thing we got to do was Fortress. And then a pandemic happened, guys. So we didn't get to do shit. So me and Anna started a YouTube channel. That's what we did in 2020. That was our big, and we would have Zoom things with Turbo Turkey, which were fun, but it's not performing, so we didn't actually get to perform again until August of 2021. But that's a story for another time. I will get into next video, which will probably wrap things up. I'll just kind of cover 2020, just the whole sketch fest thingy, that debacle that I went on, and explain that a little bit more and go into detail on that a little bit. And then I will talk about a little bit of the 2021 shows and then where we're at now. And then we'll be done with this videos. Holy crap, Adam. That's like, what, maybe 2 videos? Maybe I probably could do that in 1, honestly. Because 2020, there ain't that much to talk about. Like I said, we did a YouTube channel. That's really all we had. That's all we could do. And like I said, we didn't get to perform until August of 2021. So we did 5 shows last year. And now we're on the track of more this year. So, yeah, that was cool. The other thing we got to do in 2020 was this thing called Cornucopia, so that was fun too. But anyway, next video, part 10, will be probably next weekend, because we're just going to be getting back in town on Saturday. I don't know what time we're getting back in town yet. So, it depends. Maybe I'll wrap that up on Saturday, maybe not. We'll see how things go. I got things to do in my life, guys. I can't just sit here and talk to you all day, man. All day. But this has been fun, guys, regardless of that. And despite any kind of, emotional things that have been talked about, or, frustrations, or things of, people making me angry, understand that majority of the stuff, I'm not going to sit there and say everything is water under the bridge, everything's cool. But like a majority of those things, this is basically the whole thing of this video is just a reflection and the growth and the things I've learned and things learned not to do and things to do along the way and things I continue to learn. So I never want this to come off, any of these videos to come off like, I'm bashing this person and I'm bashing this person and fuck this person and fuck this person and fuck this person, because I never want it to be that. There might be still some strong feelings towards certain people. Like if I never see them again, I'm not gonna, be sad. But at the same time, I don't want it to come off like some kind of like hack job to just like, and let me tell you just how awful this person is. Because the old saying of you may be the hero of your own story, but you're the villain of someone else's. I'm sure I'm the villain of someone else's. Whatever. Life goes on. But I have enjoyed this type of stuff. Would love to do something on this channel, just like reflecting on college years, reflecting on more theater before Washington, my love life. Not like, I'm not going to talk about my sex life, guys. Sickos. Jeez. No, but like, the build up to how I met my wife and all that would be a fun story to reflect on sometime. And just like all the mistakes I made there before I got to Anna. So yeah, that'd be fun too. I enjoy this, guys. This is like, it's sort of like having a podcast, but not really having a podcast, but also talking to no one, but also to you. So if you watch this video, I'm talking to you and I'm pointing to you and I'm looking at you. Look at me and talk to me. I had a Dr. Pepper on the way home, so that's why I'm super caffeinated, and that's why I'm talking like this, because I just love being on camera. The camera loves me. Anyway, I'm going to wrap this up because it's an hour and 6 minutes. I've gone long again, guys. I've done it. But there was a lot to talk about in 2019. And overall, you know what? It was a good year. Despite a few hiccups, like the sketch thing not going well with the workshop thing. Beyond that, I mean, not a bad year. We had a lot of good sketch shows. We had 2 successful superhero shows go well. A few hiccups along the way, but really, 2019, not a bad year, guys. Not a bad year for Turbo Turkey. If only 2020 had been as good. But we know what happened there. So anyway, we'll talk about 2021, a little bit of 2020, and where we're at now. And that'll either be Saturday or the following week, depending on how things work out. But hope you enjoy these videos, guys. Like and subscribe. Keep building those subscribers, people. And we'll try to do more stuff on here about movie stuff and stuff like that. Maybe me and Anna will talk about the fact that we're about to celebrate 20 years together tomorrow. 20 years we've been dating. 5 years, 5.5 years long distance, and then the rest out here. And we've been married for almost 4 years, so that's coming up in September. So we celebrate 2 anniversaries because we're special like that. Anyway, guys, I'm going to shut up now so you can stop hearing Adam talk all the time. I'm going to still talk. You can't stop me. I'll never stop talking. Anyway, like and subscribe, guys. Hope you enjoyed this, and we will wrap these Turbo Turkey videos up next time. Thanks, guys.